black male generation in this society, when you've grown up, what is one thing you can say you struggled with?
How deep do you want to go?
We can go deep, yeah. Okay.
Women. Essentially, my conception was weird. My mum got pregnant, and my dad gave my mum an ultimatum and said, "It's me or this child." Wow. As you can see, I'm here. Yeah. Dad was just in another place. And what's really, really interesting is now that I am who I am, I get it. When I was younger, it was just like, "Dad, I can't believe you left me." Listen, he was a young boy. He was a fine young boy. So he
said he was a fine young boy, not just a young boy.
I'm not using this in any way to validate him, but I get it. You know, now that I get the opportunity to sit down with people and know and understand the struggles, you can assume that it's malicious. Yeah, I know that everyone can forgive everyone, but I would never forgive my dad. I had to learn to forgive him because it's like, Dad, I get it.
You have a lot of people, a lot of young people, they feel hurt, they feel rejected.
100%.
So what was the process of that it took you to get to the Dad, I get it?
I got a phone call from my brother and he said, "Dad's been in an accident." I said, "What kind of accident?" And of course, these times I don't really talk to my dad. So Dad's been in a... Okay, that's unfortunate. What had happened is he'd actually tried to commit suicide. And he had put fuel all over the house, lit a match and sat down. Because he just, like, his life wasn't where it is he wanted life to go. Wow. Yeah, I know, right? We've never actually had a coma for, I want to say 6 to 8 weeks. My brother would probably say it was a bit longer than that. He would probably say it was like 3 months. He lost 3 fingers on one hand, 2 on the other. He lost his ability to walk, so he's now in a wheelchair. He lives in a home. You know, in building up to that process, he couldn't do many things. And what generally happened was over time, I started to build this compassion when I started to see that there was a level of helplessness. So he started to open up as to why he made certain decisions when he was younger. I had to go through, I almost liken it to a dance. You know, in a dance, it's kind of like, you go forward a bit, I go forward a bit. So it was kind of like this, where it was, he would say something and I would say something, and then, you know, we really had to take honest looks at ourselves and say, how have we contributed to our relationship over time? I didn't understand on a deeper level was that my relationship with my father started to have adverse effects on my relationship with God. Because when people used to tell me to, you know, God is your father and your father loves you, I didn't have that revelation of God. I was like, I don't have a father that loves me.
Right. I was just going to say, is it because you didn't see? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't see a father's love. And that seems to be what really drums it home. He's the father, he's the father, the father loves you.
He's such a good father. Well, okay.
And I was just like, well, my relationship with fathers isn't really... I can generally say, and it's weird because they'll say, of course, you're a pastor, but I can generally say that God helped me re-establish my relationship with my dad. I've been surrounded by great men who are examples of what good fathers look like. And I think that just gave me hope that we can actually re-establish this stuff. And, you know, my dad now calls me, if I said 5 times a day, I might be downplaying it slightly. And we actually have a great relationship.
So in the process of reconciliation with your dad, how did your mum feel?
That's an amazing question. That's actually a really good question.
Of course, you'd speak to her and be like, "Oh, I spoke to Dad today," or "I'm doing this for Dad, doing that for." What are her thoughts during that time?
I must say, I do love my mum. I have a love and a patience, and she has grace and serenity that I just haven't seen before. She was like, "I support it, build a relationship with your dad." She was like, "I know that me and him didn't work out, but that's not to say that you guys shouldn't have that relationship." I know they say that young men need to have their fathers, and I agree. But did I miss out on anything by not having my father there? I can't say I did. And that's why it's weird that I struggled with women. I kind of saw it as I sought validation from them. I loved the conversation. I loved the chase. You know, people in relationships and conversations, they know that, okay, for young people, eventually what you may end up getting to is sex.
Yeah.
I didn't actually want that. I kind of just wanted the game to prove that I'd won it. I can imagine the mental space I was in at the time, but I was an ugly kid in school. You know, I blossomed and I developed quite late. I was the person who was chosen last. I know, well, right? I was chosen last for sports teams. I wasn't really popular. I was an ugly kid, at least my mom would never say that. But I think I was an ugly kid, and you know, I didn't get girlfriends, I didn't get all that sort of stuff. So I think that I got to a stage that the moment I was able to be validated by, I just went in big. Girls ended up becoming my vice because unfortunately, as young people, especially with young men, it's a great validator. My girlfriend at the time. And I must say, this woman helped transform my life. She evangelized to me on the bus. I thought to myself, I don't care about the God that you're serving, but you're buff. So
I love the truth.
Yeah.
I don't care about the God that you're serving, but your path.
yeah, it was so weird. I was like, tell me more. Tell me more. Okay.
Tell me more. She's there
Okay.
thinking, yeah, I've got my Bible.
She was telling me scriptures.
I'm going
She
in and
was-
going. You're like, tell me
Hebrews.
what.
Swear down. On a journey where he said, I want you to start locking off all of the females that you're talking to. Imagine me calling up people and being like, hey, can we just meet and talk and stuff like that? And me saying to them, listen, I just want to apologize if I've ever sort of led you down the wrong path and made you believe that this was going to be anything more than sex. It's not. There will never be an us. And yeah, I'm starting this path with Jesus where I'm kind of walking this thing out. So I had to apologize to you to let you know that I've never done anything so insane in my life. I can't do this over the phone.
So you met up?
Face to face.
I salute you. I salute you.
And I used to come back to Vanessa, because we were friends at the time. I'd come back to tell her that, hey, I've just had I've just had to go and etc. And she'd be like, yeah, that's crazy still.
And this is your wife now. You were friends then.
My current wife now
Okay,
has seen me locking off. Of course, like we had to go on our own journey where she had to be like, God, are you sure?
Are you sure this one?
She was one of the people who really helped me sort of zero in and focus, and it was just like, if you're really gonna do this God thing properly, it is gonna require a fresh start.
So her light shining is not making you intimidated in any way.
In my mind, leaders lead from behind. You'll see it even when we walk. Leadership isn't walk in front and have her behind me. My leadership is send her forward and be behind her to ensure that she's guarded and protected. But I would have it that she runs and she goes and does her thing. Like, I will never try to dim her light, because her shining is me shining. The Bible says that we're one, right?
So, guys, we had a prior conversation. That's what we're saying about filtering your emotions and really thinking, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? Is it truly anxiety? Is it truly depression?
I think it's how final some of those statements are. Anxiety. It's like, that's a really, really big statement that covers a lot of different places. I think that because self-acceptance has increased so much and everybody assumes that, you know, a bad day is automatically anxiety, or even a bad week or a bad month is automatically a period of depression. I think it's now one of those limiting factors where people are believing that they can't necessarily do something because they've labeled. Now becomes the precursor to everything else that they want to do. They almost believe, well, because of my anxiety, I can't. Because of my depression, I can't. So that's like, I feel like the biggest thing which we speak about so much is just these mental labels that they placed upon themselves. Oh yeah, but you don't understand, it's because I am.
I feel like as human beings, we try to place labels on things in order to understand what they are. So if you say, oh, this person's behaving this way, okay, they have anxiety, they have depression. So and so is what we need to do to help them with their situation.
Dr. Ravi Zacharias, who presents this, he says...
Dr. who?
Dr. Ravi Zacharias. He says, the logical argument is this: I have ears, elephants have ears, therefore I'm an elephant.
No, I'm not an elephant, I'm a human being.
You're a human being.
Yeah.
But what you've done is you've created one causal link between two things, and therefore you've established that you are that thing because of that one causal link. So what we see is...
What?
What we see is you have this particular trait, must be depression. Whoa. You know, there are many, there are more than just one trait. So, for example, someone says, well, I have major mood swings and I don't want to wake up in the morning and all that sort of stuff. Well, actually, those are also symptoms of bipolarity. I don't think that we can cherry pick one or two things and say, well, because of this and this and this, I must be depressed. I think we should really be doing is, we should be looking at, okay, first of all, how deep are the thoughts that you're having? There's a difference between I've had a bad week and I want to kill myself. Those are, you know, the spectrum is large. And secondly, I think we need to look at the chronology of, like, when are you feeling these thoughts? Is there a particular trigger? And after this particular thing, you now start having those thoughts. Because if you are, then yes, we could say that it is depression, but we could say that it's acute depression, we could say it's manic depression. I think we're just using these huge catch-all words. How do you treat depression? Antidepressants. So are we now diagnosing or misdiagnosing, and therefore we're just handing out antidepressants to every Tom, Dick and Harry, which is actually suppressing all thoughts. Many antidepressants don't pick and choose between good thoughts and bad thoughts. They're suppressing all thoughts. So you now have young people that are running around on antidepressants because they can't wake up in the morning not knowing that actually isn't depression, which isn't anxiety, but therefore they now need to treat those side effects, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that leads you down this downward spiral. Yes, mental health, 100%, let's have the conversation, and let's continue having the conversation. But when we get to a stage now where, because of how quick we're diagnosing, that we're not dealing with real issues, or we're not doing the additional work to get down to the bottom of what trauma it is that's led to that thing. What
is the additional work that we need to be doing? That looks like, for everybody is different, because some people might help with counselling, some people don't eat about anything, so it's like, how do you help?
There needs to be identification that there is an issue.
Denial.
Yeah, there is an issue. I'm not going to call it depression or anxiety, but there is an issue that I need to deal with. Even as a Christian, I love prayer, but I love practicality. Pastor, but I'm not a qualified therapist. Therefore, I can only take you so far. We're having this conversation. It's important that we sharpen our axe. The reason why it's good to be a qualified therapist and have the word of God is because you need to have as many tools in your toolbox to deal with different people. What I can't give people is the blanket prescription that this is what's going to help you read the book of John 5 times, and by the time you come out of it, you'll be spiritually enlightened and you'll feel better. I can't do that. I believe that God can heal mental health issues, but I also believe that God has established his word within therapists to be relevant in our generation to help our young people. Yeah, you have
how important would you say it is for young men to have mentors?
Everything. It's everything. I'm reading books. Right? And the reason why I love reading books is because a memoir, right? In 300 pages, I can get the last 50 years of their life, all of the good things they've done, all of the bad things they've done, some of the mistakes that they've made, etc. Like, I have a particular mantra that experience is not the best teacher. Experience can be a terrible teacher. Why must I walk through the same pit that you have just to prove and validate that that is indeed a pit? Why can't I sit and learn from your wisdom, learn from the pit that you've gone through, and say, if I was to ever go down that journey, I would not go through it. So that's why I read so much. I'm trying to ingest all of this sort of stuff, so I don't now need to go, oh my gosh, wow, there's a pit. A teacher. I'd say the wisdom...
But not the best teacher.
The wisdom of those that have gone before you is the best teacher. That's why I believe in mentors. I believe in mentors. Like, there is someone who is in a position that you would like to go to.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you've learned one or two things. Come on. Of all this time we'll be talking, remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. Leave down what you learned. Let's start a conversation. Is there anything that you don't agree with? Let us know if there's anything that you do agree with or anything that you'd like to add. I will leave Sam's details. Obviously not all his details. Sorry, his details.
Can't get the number.
I mean, down there in the comment section. So feel free to contact him.
For sure.
Yeah, any closing remarks?
I actually reached out. Because...
I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did.
Because I love what she does. I've been a follower. I think I watched every video. I'm a huge fan. I love what you do, what you stand for. You know, you have an amazing heart, and you have since university. When we first met.
Cry.
She's really, really, really good people's. So yeah, she's not wrong. Please like, share, subscribe. Share this with as many people as you can. Let's get this out. Not for me or anything I said, but because she has a platform which is helping people, and she honestly believes in people in the same way that she believed in me to come and share what little knowledge I had. So
little. Yeah. Oh, little. See you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.